Have you ever read this art is ethical? Do you know the problem of stray animals, especially cats and dogs, has become more and more noticeable on public university, and now we are focusing on University Malaya. The number of stray animals has been growing due to the cat abandonment, contributing and the fact that this campus provides a shelter and food that become a safe space for these animals. But the growing number is the problem. Stray can carry disease, get into an accident, become aggressive when they are scared. Sadly, many are found dead and hurt due to the starvation, untreated illness, abuse, or getting hit by the vehicle. It's heartbreaking and also become concern for everyone. As we see from the Islamic perspective, which is his and nafs or the protection of life, Allah reminds us that all living things deserve care and safety, including the animals. And as we look through the lens of SDG, Goal 15 focuses on protecting life on land, and Goal 16 is focusing on the strong institution and justice. So these both goals supporting the idea of managing this issue responsibly. That's where Dewan Malaya Kuala Lumpur, which is DBKL, comes in. As the City of Council, DBKL has the authority to ministry, enforce law like the Animal Act 1953 and oversee shelter. Instead of working alone, they can team up with the university like University Malaya to create better solution. This kind of partnership could make a big difference, not just for the animal, but for the student and community too.
The presence of stray animals, particularly dogs and cats, on the University of Malaya campus has become a growing concern for students, faculty, administrative staff, and the surrounding community. While many of these animals are aggressive or non-aggressive, and even socialized, their increasing numbers pose various challenges. This includes potential threats to personal safety, the risk of zoonotic disease transmission, hygiene issues in common areas, abuse, and ethical concerns related to animal welfare. Moreover, this issue reflects larger systematic problems such as irresponsible pet ownership, inadequate sterilization programs, and insufficient enforcement of urban animal control regulations. Although young students and informal animal welfare groups have made commendable efforts to care for and manage these animals, their initiative remain fragmented and unsustainable due to a lack of formal support in long-term planning. The University of Malaya is located in a strategically important area that connects Kuala Lumpur and Petaling Jaya to densely populated cities. As of 2024, the University of Malaya has more than 25,000 students and several thousand instructors and staff. The surrounding area are populated by middle and upper middle class residential communities, commercial establishments, and local markets. This demographic mix combined with readily available foodways and open area foster an atmosphere that attracts and sustains stray animals populations. Baseline and secondary research indicate that the growing stray animal population at the University of Malaya highlights a serious issues rooted in both human, neglect, and animal suffering. Many of these strays were once fed, abandoned, and left to survive without proper care, food, or shelter. Their unchecked reproduction, fueled by the availability of resources on campus, has led to a steady increase in numbers. This situation not only results in occasional safety concerns like animal bite, but also reflect indirect abuse where human irresponsibility causes long-term harm to these animals and exacerbates the cycle of neglect. On the other hand, the stray animals issues at the University of Malaya has also led to a conflict in violence among the animals themselves, particularly between stray dogs and cats. Competition for food and territory often results in attacks causing injury or death, especially to small animals. A notable incident in December 2024 saw the death of several cats initially suspected to involve human cruelty. However, CCTV footage and investigations confirmed that stray dogs were responsible for the attacks. In response, launched internal efforts to manage the stray dogs population, working with animal activists and relevant departments. These efforts, however, require sustained funding, institutional backing, and continuous monitoring to be effective. Comprehensive information on the quantity, condition, and mobility of stray animals on campus is also lacking. Bureaucratic hold-up and capacity limitation hinder efforts to engage outside shelter or veterinary service. Crucially, there has been no official agreement with local government entities or a coordinated university-wide strategy, although UM includes several faculties that could help find a solution such as environmental science, public health, and veterinary medicine. As a result, despite rising public concern and appeals for cooperation, practical remedies to the problem continues with little progress. A major gap in addressing the stray animals issue at the University of Malaya is the absence of formal collaboration with local authorities like Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur DBKL. Without this partnership, current initiatives remain fragmented, short-term, and disconnected from broader municipal strategies. The lack of a university-led policy framework means response and mostly reactive, driven by complaints rather than a sustained, data-informed approach. Additionally, while UM students and faculty occasionally engage in research or volunteer efforts, these actions are not integrated into policy making or long-term planning, limiting their impact on effective lasting solutions. Public education on responsible pet ownership and human stray animal management at the University of Malaya is currently limited, with minimal outreach or communication strategies to engage the wider campus community. Adoption drives and mentoring campaigns are really promoted, and municipal agencies like DBKL typically focus only on reactive measures such as trapping. Without a proactive collaborative approach between UM and DBKL, these fragmented efforts will remain ineffective in the long run. Establishing a formal partners could lead to a comprehensive, human, and sustainable management plan. One that not only addressing the issues on campus, but also serve as a model for other major universities.
University of Malaya is a vibrant place of learning, but faces a serious challenge: the growing population of stray animals. Recent tragic death of campus cats have raised urgent concerns about safety for both animals and people. This calls for a human, coordinated, and sustainable approach to manage stray animals on campus. The commit focus on concrete intervention to build a sustainable solution. First, there is an urgent need to ensure safety for both animals and humans. Cat attacks by stray dogs must be stopped to protect both animals and people. Second, stabilizing the cat population through human and effective control method. Particularly, nutrient is essential to stop unchecked breeding, which causes suffering such as starvation and diseases, and to reduce public nuisance complaints. Third, improving animal welfare is necessary, providing vaccinations, parasite treatment, medical care, food, and shelter help prevent disease outbreaks, prevent cruelty, and supports the ethical responsibilities of the institution. Fourth, coordinated management is essential, as currently efforts are fragmented as UM security and veterinary teams act independently, activists act on their own, and DBKL has citywide programs, which lacks integrated strategy. Therefore, establishing a unified and multi-stakeholder framework is needed to ensure consistent action and clear accountability. Fifth, strengthening community awareness is vital as irresponsible pet abandonment and careless feeding practices continue to drive stray overpopulation. Notably, a 2023 cross-sectional survey on Malaysian public attitudes towards stray animals found that 70% of respondents cited lack of public awareness is a major cause of stray overpopulation. In sum, addressing these needs requires a strong partnership between the University of Malaya and Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur to humanly control stray animal populations, protect campus biodiversity in line with SDG 15, and strengthen institutional governance and accountability under SDG 16. That's why we are proposing 7 interlinked solutions designed for long-term impact and sustainability. The first major step is to implement a campus-wide threat neuter NR initiative to humanly control the cat population. Under this program, stray cats on campus would be humanly trapped, vaccinated, neutered or sprayed, irritated for identification, and then either returned to their familiar territory or placed in a controlled shelter area. Studies show that NR programs can dramatically reduce feral cat populations over time. For example, at the University of Central Florida, the feral cat population dropped from 68 to just 10 in 23 years after implementing the NR. And at UM, this program will involve collaboration between the university's veterinary faculty, student volunteer groups like Uni Malaya, and external partners such as the Department of Veterinary Services (DVS), Kuala Lumpur City Hall DBKL, and NGOs like SPCA Selangor and SUKA Society. DBKL can provide traps, veterinary subsidies, and regulatory oversight, while UM's veterinary clinic, or DVS or DBKL's mobile food clinics, would handle the neutering, vaccinations, including rabies and FVRCP, and parasite treatments. In practice, the program could begin with a 3-month pilot phase to trap a portion of the colony, followed by phased rollouts every 4 to 6 weeks, aiming to sterilize all campus strays within 1 to 2 years. Second, in tandem with NR, UM should establish an on-campus animal shelter or partnership with a nearby shelter provides a safe place to house and rehabilitate catchable cats and dogs. For example, UM can establish a designated cat park or sanctuary inspired by DBKL's Laman Kucing model in Banda Neraka. This sanctuary would offer a safe, enclosed habitat where cats are regularly fed, sheltered, and monitored by trained caregivers. Friendly and adoptable cats could participate in a weekly or monthly adoption drives. Partnerships with private sector actors like Simon Darby, who co-developed Clark City State Park and UM's Facilities Department, would be key for design and construction. Third, stray dog control coordination. UM's internal security, together with DBKL's dog licensing and control unit and animal activists, will conduct human capture operations. Captured dogs will be vaccinated, sterilized, and either removed or relocated to municipal shelters. Recent internal operations have already begun to address this issue, and formalizing this effort will improve safety and reduce attacks on campus. Fourth, public awareness and community engagement. To achieve long-term success, it requires changing human behavior. We propose to launch educational campaigns to promote responsible pet ownership and proper feeding practices, and conducting timely reporting of stray animal issues. Orientation seminars in informational posters and social media outreach will engage the UM community. Partnerships with student unions and NGOs will deliver workshops on the NR, adoption, and animal protection laws, fostering a culture of care and responsibility. Fifth, health monitoring and veterinary care. Managing stray animals also means keeping them healthy. Vaccination, especially against rabies, distemper, parvo for dogs, and leukopenia or leukemia for cats should be part of the DNR cycle. This protects the animals and prevents zoonosis. DNR cats should be periodically screened for common zoonotic diseases such as testing feces for Toxoplasma gondii and ensuring up-to-date rabies vaccinations. The university's veterinary clinics or DBKL's mobile veterinary units could offer routine health checks and basic treatment for injured or sick sanctuary cats. This contributes to both student health and improve animal welfare. 6. Research and data collaboration. Biology faculty and students can conduct baseline surveys to map cat and dog populations and hotspots on campus, while veterinary and public health students analyze data on parasite prevalence and health risks, tracking key performance indicators such as the number of cats neutered, adopted, or dogs captured, enables continuous program improvement. 7. And finally, strong policy and governance. UM and DBKL should formalize their partnership through a Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) to clarify their roles and responsibility. A joint committee will oversee progress, ensure compliance with the Animal Welfare Act 2015, and enforce policies against pet abandonment and cruelty. Training for campus security and city officers will enhance enforcement capacity to close gap in animal welfare knowledge.
As we have seen, each of the solutions, starting from TNR program to centuries, from awareness campaign to research, it result offer a clear path forward. But what does success look like? Therefore, by bringing the expertise of universities with the resources of local authorities, we can make a real difference, which not for just for animals, but for the entire campus environment. These are the expected outcome for our initiative. Firstly, one of the most immediate and visible outcome will be a significant reduction in the stray animal population. With structured TNR program, reproduction is controlled humanly and sustainably. For instance, a study from University of Central Florida reported that after implementing a TNR program, the campus cat population dropped by 85% over time. Next, another outcome is that it provides better animal welfare. This is because when stray animals receive regular food, medical care, and vaccination, the population of stray animal suffering is reduced, which also reduces the animal suffering and prevents the spread of zoonotic diseases. Third, we will see cleaner and safer campuses. This is because by reducing aggressive or sick animals, it can minimize risks like attacks, infection, and hygiene concerns in the environment and community, especially around dorms, cafes, and public spaces. Furthermore, we expect to build a more organized and transparent management system, which clearly define role between DBKL, UM, and NGOs, so it can reduce confusion and streamline action. The governance duties will be more clearer, budget more manageable, and response faster. Besides, adoption rates will also rise. This is because with healthier, more socialized animal and on-campus shelter, the animals are well taken care of and healthy. Therefore, it becomes easier for students and staff to adopt pets, which also can reduce the number of stray animals sent back to the streets. Lastly, this effort also helps shape a culture of care. This is because through ongoing campaign and workshop organized, we can educate our community on responsible pet ownership and human-made solution for stray animals, which also not only benefit the current community, but also for generations to come. It is undeniable that achieving this goal won't be easy because there are real challenges we must face. The main challenge is funding. This is because running a 10-hour program, building shelter, and ensuring veterinary care all require money and some to spend in order to succeed this program. And most universities and even NGOs struggle to find a fund to sponsor. Next is coordination. This is because it is difficult to align the effort of city authorities, universities departments, and welfare groups without formal agreement and regular follow-ups. This is because without structure and effort, the initiative can quickly fall apart. Furthermore, volunteer burnout is another risk. While many students and staff are eager to help, at first, sustaining long-term involvement is hard. Therefore, to combat this problem, incentives like certificates and academic credits might help keep this spirit alive. Other than that, there is public non-compliance. This is because even with the best system and initiative we implement, if people abandon pets and feed animals carelessly, it also undermines results. It is true that education is key, but it must be paired with legal enforcement so the initiative can be successful. Besides, space is also one of the limitations. This is because not every campus has room for shelter or treatment facilities to take place. Therefore, we need to produce a creative alternatives like mobile vet or unit or partnership with nearby shelters. Last but not least, we must address health and legal concerns. Mishandled care could lead to outbreaks or even lawsuits. Veterinary screening and legal compliance are not optional. They are the backbone of the responsible program. Yes, the road may be tough, but every challenge carries a solution. Where there is a determination, there is always a way forward.
Despite being situated in the capital city of Kuala Lumpur, the University of Malaya continues to deal with a recurring issue, which is the increasing number of stray and wild animals on campus. One of the main reasons this issue remains unresolved is the absence of formal collaboration between UM and the local government authority, Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur or DBKL. Without proper coordination, efforts to manage stray animals remain fragmented and ineffective. If UM were to establish an official partnership with DBKL, animal control efforts on campus could be conducted more systematically. This includes legal enforcement, animal control operation, and public awareness campaign. To support this initiative, internal efforts should also be enhanced. One key player is the University of Malaya Animal Guardians or UMA, a student-led initiative established in August 2024. UMA is committed to rescuing, caring for, and monitoring the welfare of animals on campus. Through combined efforts between DBKL, UM, and UMA, stray animal issues can be tackled using a more human and sustainable approach. This collaboration would also encourage community ownership by involving the entire university population, including students, staff, and academic members in animal protection and reporting instead of remaining passive observer. UMA promotes consistent student involvement instead of acting only during emergencies. Students can take part in awareness campaign, vaccination programs, and even help build shelter. These activities could also be integrated into co-curricular or community service learning programs. With support from DBKL, this partnership could result in the creation of long-term shelter facilities maintained through recurring funding and trained volunteers. Currently, UMA is working with Jabatan Harta Benda or JHB on internal matters like feeding and rescuing animals. However, expanding this network to include DBKL is crucial. External collaboration can focus on enforcement of campus animal control and policymaking, such as regulating stray breeding and planning public education campaigns. Multi-stakeholder collaboration doesn't just improve current efforts, it expands the impact in enforcement, education, and long-term sustainability.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Adrian and I will be presenting the proposed project timeline and of course the proposed project budget. Now, for the proposed timeline, we have already sent the proposal on 9th of May 2025 and after that we shall wait for the letter of approval. Once we've received that letter of approval, only on June we will start the baseline survey and conduct mapping for stray hotspots and population counts and of course student feedback survey. For this, we can finally complete the next milestone, which is community profiling and data collection. Next, on the 8th of July, we will finally conduct a meeting with DBKL and other NGOs to discuss a memorandum of understanding between the two parties and of course to get the support for the TNR program and sanctuary planning. In this, the milestone of formal collaboration has been initiated. After that, on the 9th to the 23rd of July, we will start a volunteer recruitment and orientation program because we would need more volunteers for this project, and with this the milestone of volunteer team would have been reached. Now on the 1st of August, we would finally launch our first TNR pilot event. The milestone here is the first TNR operation would have been executed. Next, on the 1st of September, we would launch the health monitoring program for vaccination and parasite treatment. This is for post-TNR cats. And in this, the milestone of cat park structure would have been completed. And next, finally, after the centering, planning, site approval and construction of feeding stations for the pet on the 15th of September, on the 1st of October, we would finally launch the Cat Park and first adoption drive with DBKL and SPCA. Here, the adoption and sanctuary services would have started, and that would be our next milestone. And on the 15th of October, we would finally conduct a workshop for responsible pet ownership and TNR awareness. This would then reach our next milestone, which is to make public education campaigns ongoing. And finally, on the 31st of December, we would conduct a progress review, and here we would examine the adoption statistics and of course the public's feedback and compile a year-end assessment for future reference. This future reference would be Usrah in action. Next, on to the proposed budget. For the proposed budget, for the TNR equipment and veterinary services, in total we have calculated it would be around 6,050 ringgit. Next, for the sanctuary setup for the Cat Park, in total we have calculated it would be around 2,750 ringgit. And then for the volunteer training and also outreach, we have only calculated for it to be only around 400 ringgit. And then for the adoption drive, it would only be around 1,700 ringgit. And of course the visuals, which is including the subscription for editing software and all such, would be only 330 ringgit. The grand total of the proposed budget is 11,230. It may seem like a lot. However, we have calculated every nitty-gritty detail, and even with this amount of budget, we could only do TNR for 20 cats, which is quite unfortunate, but however, it would be a nice starting point. And finally, how would we continue the project for Usrah in action? Of course, Usrah in action will begin next semester. We would first start a review on the year-end impact assessment of the previous project. This is to examine what improvements can be made on the present initiative for Usrah in action. This is so we can improve on the mistakes or perhaps flaws that are present in our current framework. And then next, we will communicate with all the parties that we have communicated with, such as UMAG, UMSU, and DBKL, on our intention for continuation of the project. And then, after a new proposal and budget is drafted based on the year-end impact assessment, we will submit it to the management again, and that would be how we would conduct the program in the initial part in Usrah in action. However, this time it would only serve as a continuation of the project and not as we are now only beginning to launch it. Our goal is to make this into an annual program where stray animals in are dealt with in terms that we can reduce their numbers, while at the same time encouraging people to adopt stray animals that are in need of adoptive parents, rather than buying expensive animals outside just so they would be bored of them and perhaps throw them out in the future, and giving rise to more stray animals. And with that, that is our current framework for the Usrah in Action plan. We would first improve on the previous plan and then make it into a yearly program. And then after that, once the stray animal situation is promptly dealt with, we would finally be able to reduce the stray animal population and of course promote awareness on adoption in the UM campus and beyond.